Donna, we're going to go to you with this story. This is, oh, wow, it's coming out of NBC6 again, South Florida. NBC6 South Florida. Let me go ahead and read you the headline, read you the first couple graphs. We were talking about the rising cost of living in South Florida. Remember, Miami wasn't one of the top 100 cities, but maybe it had to do with the fact that the median sales price was too high or whatever. But here is the headline. Here's the first couple graphs, and it has to do with condo associations and who is collecting the money, how are they spending the money, and is there any kind of shady business going on? So, headline, where is all the money going? In quotes, Sunrise condo residents furious over special assessment fee. Subhead, over the past year, residents have faced multiple assessments, paying hundreds of dollars from fixes to the elevators to overdue bills. First couple graphs, Don, and then I'll ask you to comment. First couple graphs, and there's some great video if anybody wants to look it up. We're going to put a link in the podcast of some people in the community getting a little bit feisty. Here we go. Seniors at a Sunrise community. Sunrise is in Broward County. It's a city in Broward County. Seniors at a Sunrise community were furious Wednesday after learning their homeowners association approved the special assessment fee despite overwhelming opposition. Sunrise Lakes Phase 2, a 55 and older community in the heart of Sunrise, is at a crossroads and in crisis. The HOA board held a special assessment meeting Wednesday before a packed crowd of residents who say they're feeling the financial strain. Where's all the money going? They mismanaged the books, resident Paul Rabin said. Where's all the money been going? We're not uncaring. We just don't have any choices anymore, said Pamela Kershid, and HOA board president. They didn't go for it for many years, and now the law says if you don't do it, you are going to have to take it away from you. So, Donna, before condo associations used to kick the can down the road, they didn't want to spend any extra money because it meant that the fees were going to go up. Then you had Champaign Tower South collapse, that disaster where close to 100 people died. There was $1 billion payout. Insurance prices have gone up tremendously in the state of Florida. The state legislature put in place some rules that now require condo associations to earmark money in reserves, as well as no longer be able to kick the can down the road. And what this is doing is this is really a sort of a religious moment in theory for many, because they're realizing everything that they have, it costs a hell of a lot more than it should have cost. And now some of these associations are trying to figure out what the hell exactly do we do with it. You live in a condo. You are probably going through the process. I'm just wondering if you could give us your, perspective about how your fees have changed, if they've changed, whether or not the money is properly spent, and whether or not, there's shenanigans possibly going on here, or is it possibly of shenanigans widespread in South Florida, or is it simply an anomaly, at least the allegation? And by the way, for what it's worth, in doing some research and talking to some people, basically your condo fees that you pay, 20% is earmarked towards insurance, 10% is earmarked towards property taxes. So basically 1/3 of your overall fees are going to go for insurance as well as property taxes. So what say you, Donna?
I mean, I don't think you're going to have to dig too hard to find that there were probably shenanigans going on for a while. Special assessments are always hard, especially when, you as the homeowner, whether you're a new homeowner or you've been there for a while, and you just either, you hadn't been paying attention, or all of a sudden you're like, hey, all of these things are horribly wrong and have to be paid for. Now I think this is going to end up in litigation. And the thing is, it's such a tough spot because a lot of these seniors are on fixed incomes. And so if you're used to paying a certain amount of money every month, and now with these, special assessments to get things fixed that have to be fixed, like the roof and, really big fixes like that, it could be big air conditioning fixes, like changing out whole units. That's a lot of money. And, these buildings can lose they can lose their insurance companies if the fixes aren't made. So, I think the real question is what do the books look like? Like, what is this decades of mismanagement? Like what, why is it all happening now? How did it get to be, to be this bad? I know we just got hit with a special assessment, and it's actually for faulty air conditioning. I would strongly encourage, these residents, or certainly relatives of residents, if the residents themselves, don't necessarily have the wherewithal or the ability or the time or whatever to really do the deep digging. I think this is all going to get litigated. I think it's going to go that way.
Jean, let me ask you before I go to Mr. Fakler for story number 6. Sean, if these people, and in this story, they're over 55 community, they have fixed incomes like Donna mentioned. If a special assessment is required now under the new legislation because as a result of the Champlain Tower South collapse, that disaster, what are these people to do? Are they simply going to try to sell? And if too many people sell, what is that going to do to pricing? What is that going to do to the ability to refinance? Can you sort of walk us through some of the pitfalls that communities such as this might be facing?
Yeah, look, fortunately, they may actually come out on top by selling. In this market, especially if they've owned the units for quite a while, they really have no option other than to sell, because if they don't pay their HOA fees, the HOA can place a lien on their property, and they can actually foreclose. I think they can foreclose. I think the HOA has the power to foreclose. HOAs, unfortunately, they're run by people who may not have, the skills to run one. At best, at worst, they're corrupt. In fact, I was talking to a friend of mine who lives in a building here in Brickell, and they actually don't have any reserves, and every repair that has to be done in the building is done via special assessment, because they don't trust the board. So they don't have any reserves. So nothing, there's no money to pay for anything. And anytime they want to do something like repave the parking lot or fix a gate or repair the pool or anything else, it all has to be done by special assessment, because nobody trusts anybody.
Wow.
And so, this is the state we're in. And HOAs are, unfortunately, they're a mess. And financially, this has been, pretty clear in all the investigations with the disaster with the Champlain Towers. Most of these buildings are ancient. The residents have been there for a long time. A lot of them are retired on fixed income. They can't possibly pay for the repairs that need to be done to keep these buildings safe. And I just don't see another way out except by selling. But fortunately, they're in a seller's market. So, really, they should get out while they can.